Welcome team, Joshua again from RICS. If you haven't watched videos 1 and 2, please watch it now before reviewing this one. We have done the initial groundwork. It's now all about knowing what needs to be written and completed. To be helpful, I have linked an example QS SPA submission, which I'll be referencing to give you more context about the levels of writing in future sessions. For those who are eager to see it, I will link it in the description now and upload it to the group as well. We need to download a few things to ensure that we have the ground of understanding about what needs to be done. You did it previously, but I'm just making sure, doing my due diligence, that you have the Senior Professional Application Guide. You also have the Pathway Guide and also the Submission Template, which you can download here by clicking Case Study and press Download. Now, when you want this approved by your counselor, you will need to click here to upload it and submit for approval. And remember to save your work in an RICS folder on your desktop and favorite it so you can see it daily as a reminder of action. There are many things that may be overlooked when thinking about what to write. The acronym SPA has it all there for you. S is for senior, so the senior profile needs to be presented within your whole application. P, professional, and this is professionally written and professional conduct. The A stands for assessment, and we're going to be assessing you against your profile and professionalism. To know where to start, I think the best thing to do is to know what is expected in the interview and the weighting as well, where the panel will decide if you are awarded MRICS broadly based on the weighting of 50% being your senior professional competencies and senior profile, 25% on the technical and mandatory competencies, and 25% on ethics, rules, conduct, and professionalism. Now, there are other elements such as your submission being professionally written, grammar, spelling, type of work, and also the way that you conduct yourself in the interview and articulate your experience. Now, to explain this a little bit further, if your ethics, rules, conduct don't align to RICS, you may be referred. If you don't show that senior profile and how you're doing it, you may be referred. If you can't show your experience towards the technical competencies, you may be referred. Or if your submission is filled with incorrect grammar, spelling, and typos, this may also lead to a referral. So I want to flip it up so you can succeed and write and articulate all of this professionally. Each play a part, and RICS and the assessors want to see that story and key and those elements that make up a great submission that feeds positively for you to become MRICS. Being the gold standard in the industry, we expect nothing less for you producing and showing this as well in the interview. To show this in your submission, your senior profile, understanding of the competencies and ethics is very important when putting it in there. In summary, you should write within each of the case study, and you need to provide evidence of an overview of key issues to give context that you understand these issues and the identification towards it. An account of your role or personal involvement, which will show the management, the senior profile, and the role that you played. An outline of some of the problems faced and the experience you have used to resolving these to show your experience within the competencies and that high level 3 requirements being of advice. A note of the outcome and successful delivery, and the emphasis of the role that you played will further show the understanding about what you did and how you contributed to the project. You will need to provide evidence of your senior profile, further enforcing your senior role, your management, your leadership and decision-making responsibilities, your experience to the pathway, and those mandatory competencies. Additionally, understanding towards the pathway and the core business skills as well. And include RICS ethics, rules, conduct, and professionalism as a competency to ensure that you have grasped the technical understanding and the need for this within your role. From the assessors, they have also told me that a few of the biggest issues is that many SPA candidates don't provide too much detail, or they can't identify any standards, professional statements, or guidance notes relevant to the case study. And a big one that we see in the interview is they have completely missed the understanding and need to know about the rules, conduct, and obligations they have to RICS. Now, I will give more context to this in future videos, but wanted to make this known now so you can easily identify the next step, which is choosing the project or projects that you will be writing about within your case study. So when reviewing your projects, you would need to ensure that you have a mixture of competencies. So as an exercise, if you open up the pathway guide, you can obviously highlight those competencies that are relevant to those projects. Now, within case study 1, it is about leadership, managing people, and managing resources. So even though that you have selected the competencies in your RICS assessment platform, you may not use or write about all of them within your case studies, and that is fine. Now, as an example of this, in case study 1, since it's towards those senior characteristics, what else would show this and what else would reinforce this to the counselors, the assessors? So I recommend that we choose ethics, which I said before, maybe health and safety, which will be a good one, and also the diversity, inclusion, or maybe inclusive environments. Using the QS Pathway Guide for case study 2, think about your job, what you mainly do. Now, globally, the role of a QS does differ, but always comes back to those core competencies. So maybe selecting either commercial management or design economics or cost planning would be the best option for you. You would choose another one from the core, then select ethics, rules, conduct, and professionalism again, and then as well, you might choose these as an option. And for case study 3, you're selecting different, but you also select ethics and a few other ones. What I'm trying to show you is that while ethics overlaps, you can't have any of the other competencies that overlap within your case study because we want to see a range of skills and experience towards the pathway. Now, also for reference, this is the evaluation pathway, and this is the possible makeup that you could do for case study 1, case study 2, and case study 3. Remember, this is just a simple exercise to show you that even though there are many competencies in your case studies, you will need to make sure that the ones that you are selecting are relevant to you and not overlapping. And when reviewing your projects, you want to ensure that you pick the project or the situations where these competencies do not overlap with the experience. So knowing this is going to be this week's action item, and I want you to look at all the projects that you have done. I want you to rank those projects, review those skills and competencies that you have achieved. We also want to aim to see 5 to 7 skills and competencies, and I've created a simple Excel sheet, which I'm sure you can all mock up in a few minutes. So what we're going to be doing is listing the projects you have done in the past 2 years. Now, I know that within the application guide, it does mention up to 3 years, and you are welcome to stretch it just past the 2 years, but I'm trying to ensure success. And knowing that maybe a few of you will be referred, it's just the stats. If you aim to submit this later in the year and then are referred and then have to resubmit next year, you could be potentially outside that 3-year window when you do decide to submit again. So as a safe margin when choosing the projects, choose stuff that maybe has happened in the past 24, 28 months at a maximum to make sure that you are within the threshold if you do potentially have to resubmit down the track. We want you to, within your Excel, to mark if you've got reports, plans, maybe a presentation that can help with refreshing your memory about what was done to help you eventually write it out. You can then rank it on the date of involvement, number of issues that you faced, were any of these issues resolved, size of the team you're responsible for, size of the project. Then when reviewing your notes, reports, and summary of the projects, list out all the skills. Now, don't worry if they do overlap here, as you can choose the competencies that you want to write about, but these are the skills and competencies relevant to the pathway. Then you can rank those skills holistically as basic, 0 to 10, and then also as well in a separate column, put if you had any guidance notes or standards that you are referencing. Then this could be the competencies that you personally choose per each case study, and your counselor will be a great support and resource to tap into to help inform that decision. Do it this week so you can get into the actual writing of the submission next week, and I've created a checklist of action items in the group. Now, as a bonus, connect with your counselor, plan accordingly, and make sure that you can submit for that next window and make sure you can complete it. A simple plan like this is recommended. And before starting to attempt writing, please make sure you have that informed decision with your counsel or another RICS professional if the choice of case studies or projects is great to use. Next week will be all about the level of writing and those elements and what I recommend that you should consider, and I also will break it down for you as well. Bye for now, and happy actioning.